and welcome to Tabor Talk. So, finishing up on the Brendan Schaub podcast, Joe Rogan's last MMA, and before that, he had Michael Shermer and Lex Fridman. Is it Fridman or Friedman? His last name is spelled Fridman. Really interesting, smart guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some clips here. I'll probably break it up into a few videos. I'm going to show a couple of clips of Lex Fridman and then comment, and then also Michael Shermer. So I hope you're enjoying this. In the past, when I reviewed a Joe Rogan podcast, I would just basically kind of talk about it, maybe hold up my phone and say, look at this. But now I'm actually pulling clips, and I think people like this. Okay, here you go. Here's Lex Fridman. And I'll show a little clip here and I'll comment. So here you go. Here's Lex. By the way, Lex is Russian. So I'm going to play the first clip here. And Lex says, if viruses weren't so terrifying, they'd be beautiful. Watch.
Yeah, if viruses weren't so terrifying, they would almost be beautiful. So what is a virus? It's some genetic code, RNA, DNA, wrapped in some protein. So it's a piece of computer code that goes into a human body or any kind of living organism and has them run that code in order to print stuff. And it's able to mutate. So there's millions of viruses out there, most of them infecting living organisms that are not human. And they're able to spread in these insane ways, infecting billions of organisms. I mean, that in terms of a weapon, in terms of a natural pandemic, is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because they can, a lot of people are worried about what's happening now with the coronavirus. The deadliest part of the Spanish flu was the second wave, when there was the second wave connected to the First World War II. The First World War. There was a mutation which made it a lot deadlier. So a single mutation that then begins to propagate through society can completely change the way we experience this virus.
And it was particularly deadly because it was really devastating to young, healthy people with strong immune systems.
It was devastating to everybody, which is surprising. Usually it's compromised immune system is what virus is devastating to.
Well, this one's weird in that it's so rare that it affects children. It's very strange that this virus has a small impact on children. But God damn it, there was a story that I saw a video about this article that was written that was talking about a 1-day-old baby that died from coronavirus. But when you go into the actual story itself, the doctor who was furious about this, was reading this paper, was saying that, the article rather, he was saying the baby was 22 weeks premature. So that's probably what killed the baby. I mean, that is so premature. And he was like, the idea that someone is using clickbait and fear-mongering at that scale during this crazy time when people are starving for information and terrified and running around trying to find out, and especially people with newborns, to read that, oh my God, I killed a newborn. And then you go and realize, no, it's a complication. And we don't know, the baby tested positive for coronavirus, but it's also 22 weeks early. I mean, if that's the first baby that's dying from this, we're very, very fortunate that it doesn't attack young people. It doesn't attack babies.
Yeah, and that's a source of terror for people. So I've interacted with folks who have families.
Mm.
I mean, that seems to be one of the biggest things that people are afraid of.
Well, it's bad for the flu.
Well, what's bad for the flu?
Children.
Yes.
It's devastating for children.
Yeah, and to think, so both sides of it. One, children getting sick, and two, parents getting sick and thereby not being able to take care of their children.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that can spread. We're so sensitive now in terms of just on the verge of giving in to the fear at a mass scale. And that's where information and sort of inspiring words and the silly old word love is important, like community and compassion and so on, to sort of fight that fear.
The silly old word love? Silly old word? Is it a silly old word? You're so Russian.
Old, it's silly.
Russian John Wick says silly old word love.
Yeah, there you go. It's a clickbait title for the Joe Rogan Experience. No, I just mean that there is a danger here of people beginning to panic when the economic impact hits. So there's 13% unemployment, I believe, in the United States. So the Great Depression was 23%. So we have something like that. We're starting to creep towards that number. So that's 16 million people out of a job currently.
Well, I don't think we have any idea. When the economics right now, we're in limbo. We really are in limbo, because how many businesses are going to close because of this? How many people don't know that they're unemployed but are? How many businesses are barely hanging on and they might not make it to the end of the year? And if the economy takes a downturn because of all these people out of job, how many businesses that were barely hanging on before and they're still open now are going to be gone in a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
We really don't know. And how long do you think it's going to take before businesses are up and running again? I know Wuhan is back up in business again, but there's a lot of criticism about that, and they're also saying they're seeing new cases.
I think it can be sooner than we think if we do the following things. So one, I'd hate to linger on this, and I'd love to talk to you.
You want to talk about masks again?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
It's funny, but I know for a fact you're going to make fun of me, just like I'll make fun of you right back for loving fanny packs. But just like fanny packs are exceptionally functional to carry on the things you need, masks masks are required to slow the spread of
So
this
there you
infection.
go. I played it a little bit longer. Lex was getting into it, the economic effects of this virus, COVID, and I'm going to be playing some more. But I think for this first video, I'll stop right there, and then I'll continue with another video. So by the way, let me just show you here. I'm just going to turn this around. My wife and I watched this episode, the immunity syndrome, last night. So this was done in 1968. I think it was January of 1968. This was Star Trek season 2, episode like 17 or 18, something like that. And isn't that something that we happened to watch this episode, right? So I did earlier, well, not to digress here, but my earlier video today, I was on synchronicity and coincidence, and I should have included this episode. So anyway, there you go. Lex Fridman and this COVID-19 and the coronavirus, and I don't know, these are crazy times. So on that note, I'll continue. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding here in Tabor Talk.